Hey folks, here at OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of the SoundBot SB305. These are in-ear style headphones, which are fairly ergonomic and meant for sports, for exercising, and for casual music listening. They sell on Amazon for less than 15 bucks, and at this price point, they're a good kind of throw around and just use it whenever you go, and they certainly are a step up compared to free or boxed earphones you may often get when getting an MP3 player or a smartphone. So it sounds slightly better and uses a traditional 3.5mm plug, so it's going to work for the majority of phones and MP3 players out there. It features a built-in microphone, so you can use it to record notes and phone calls. There's also inline control for the volume that you can adjust to pause your music. The shape is the most interesting thing about the SB305. They have an ergonomic domed kind of rubber tip that fits in snugly, and it also features a wire splitter. So some basic details on the sides. In the box, there's access to a thank you card. There's also a documentation guide that tells you the various features. Something I actually like that they included was cleaning out the silicone ends with a Q-tip. This actually is a good way to get out any dust, dirt, whatever, and sanitize it after using it for a bit of time. So that's a good recommendation. There are these spare silicone tips you can see that are more traditional in their shape, small, medium, and large. And then finally we have just the earphones themselves, which come included with a slightly more unusual double dome tip that is, quote, human engineered and ergonomic, that will supposedly be more secure and cancel out more noise, even though they're not active noise canceling, and indeed they have this really interesting look to them. Now, the feeling of these ear tips, they are made entirely out of plastic, so it's not super premium, it's not made out of aluminum or something that's more expensive, but it feels alright for a low-cost pair of earphones. The wires themselves are just traditional. I do wish it was going to be a flat ribbon wire instead, because it tangles a little bit easily. You have the SoundBot logo, which is also the inline remote control. You can tap on it once to pause your music, and long hold to answer or reject a phone call. There's also the built-in microphone for speakerphone calls, the wire splitter, and finally a more traditional kind of L-shaped gold-plated 3.5mm port for connecting to your audio source. The cable length is 1.2 meters long, which is about average for a pair of in-ear style headphones. So let's discuss a little bit more about the specifications before we launch into the performance and the sound testing. So when it comes to the specs on these, they have a 7mm diaphragm on board. They have a dynamic micro transducer that claims to reduce wireless acoustic transmission loss. So it claims to have a more realistic sound reproduction and a frequency range from 9 Hz to 20,000 Hz. That's actually a pretty wide frequency response range, considering the average is 20 Hz to 20,000. So it starts from 9 Hz. So indeed, there seems to be some special things that SoundBot has engineered into the sound technology in the circuits here that make it supposedly stronger in terms of sound than the design would suggest, since the design here is very much a plastic build. Alright, so after doing a bit of testing with the SoundBot SB305, I was indeed very surprised with the audio quality here. It definitely performs much better than my expectations, just because they're loud sounding, they're rich, dynamic, and even though there's not too much bass, it still performs decently in the lower frequencies. The most surprising thing is how clean they sound, and they capture a nice amount of detail. So if you are listening to classical music, for instance, you are listening for the nuances in the music, and this actually gives you that differentiation between different types of instruments and vocals. So it actually is quite clean and crisp sounding. Good for podcasts and for listening to people speak as well, so no complaints in that regard. So sound quality here, definitely a huge step up from any free earphones you may get, and arguably at this price point one of the best in-ear style headphones in terms of the sound, as long as you're not expecting mind-blowing bass. But then again, for in-ear style headphones, the bass has never been a forte. If you get a dual driver or a triple driver earphone, maybe bass sounds a little better, but those are also much more expensive and may sell for 40 to 80 bucks, whereas these are, again, under 20, so they're a lot cheaper. Shaped ergonomics fit pretty well. I would say that even though they are ergonomic, they did sometimes fall loose and pop loose, but all in all, they are fairly snug and do isolate a good amount of outdoor sound. If there was a wing on the outside, though, it would be more sports-oriented. At the moment, if you are vigorously shaking your head, going to the gym, or jogging, they sometimes will pop out. So even though they're very comfortable and lightweight, you do forget that they're in your ears, which is good. They're comfortable for extended periods of time. They aren't, the most secure in the world just because they don't have any extra additional wings or tips that fits and molds to the sides of your ears. But all in all, again, extremely light. So that is one of the benefits. You pretty much put it in and forget it's there. Cable length, no complaints there. And then remote control also worked pretty well. There isn't a volume control, however, so that's something that I do wish they could improve upon in a second generation model. The microphone on here sounded pretty good. It's clean sounding. It's not active noise canceling, so in outdoor situations it does struggle a little more. But for general indoor calls, it also worked without any problems from the Android and the iPhone 6s that I tested it out with. So all in all, pretty good in terms of the mic quality. And again, it's really the sound that surprised me, since it sounds very good. And the fact that it's kind of ergonomic in its shape makes it easier to pull in and out of your ears. So sound quality really has exceeded my expectations here. If you're looking for a low-cost pair of earphones that is good for general music listening and for the occasional call, this is definitely something to consider. However, if you're looking for a specifically sports-oriented, something that's extremely rugged, or if you're looking for something that has a bit more of a premium look, and then there are alternatives available. I wouldn't say these are specifically hi-fi or really audiophile grade, but for the price, they sound great. You can check out more details in our official written review, but for now, this has been our video. Thanks for watching here at OS Reviews. This has been the SoundBot Sports Active Secure Fit Human Engineering Design SB305 in-ear style headphones.